All right, we should be good now. Let me run this back for y'all. Make sure everybody's up and running. It happens. All right, let's go.
We always say we're going to pursue our dreams one day. We're going to start that business one day. We're going to travel the world one day. We're going to get in better shape one day. It's time to step into the fire and step out of your comfort zone, as the legends before you did, rising above the ashes of those who paved the way for you to be here today. This is your time. This is your opportunity. Today is your day. This is day one. Day one of the rest of your life.
Is it one day or is today your day one? In other words, how do you live? What is your mentality? I had a dream of playing in the NBA, but I had to become an NBA ball player. I dreamed of being a Hall of Fame motivational speaker, but I had to become a Hall of Fame motivational speaker. Your dreams are no good if you're not willing to become. That one day won't happen until you become. And when I talk about become, you must become legit. You can't fake this thing.
The one thing that you must understand is that you don't get any do-overs. Once your day ends, that's it. So what action do you need to commit to taking today? When you set a goal, there needs to be a sense of urgency.
You gotta pursue. You get in that ocean and the shark pursues. You go in the jungle, the lion pursues. So can I ask you a question? Are you a dreamer or are you a chaser? How long have you been thinking about this one day? How long have you been talking about this one day? How long are we going to talk about it? How long are we going to dream about it? How long are we going to fantasize about it? How long? You tell me.
It takes grit. It takes sacrifice. It takes time and energy. It takes extreme focus.
Go get it. Go get it. Go get it. Go get it. I want to be that voice for you to stop dreaming and start chasing, start pursuing, but most importantly, you got to become.
Today is your day. Today is day one.
See, a lot of people always talk about one day it's going to happen. One day I'm going to do this. One day I'm going to do that. So that's my question for you right now. Is it one day or day one? You're going to fall on one line or the other. Is it one day or day one? Here's the truth. The doers do and the dreamers dream. Hear me clearly. The doers do and the dreamers dream. So the question is, are you a doer or a dreamer?
You've got to put some action behind your words. Your wins aren't always going to be big. In most instances, they come in small increments.
When it came time to take things to the next level, I knew that I had to make a website, and Wix.
Just like our days come in 24-hour increments, your wins will come in increments. We all have the same amount of time. We all get 24 hours in one day. Some people invest their time and some people waste their time.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't stop, my friend. You see, we all start out as dreamers. There's nothing wrong with being a dreamer. We all start out as dreamers. But one day, you must start to pursue. So if it's going to happen for you one day, why can't today be day one? My daddy would tell me every day, go get it, son, go get it. Go get it, son, go get it. And I had to make a decision to stop dreaming and start pursuing.
The biggest mistake you can ever make is to assume that you have tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you realize that the clock is always ticking? Yes, the clock is always ticking. Time stops for no one. Time does not bow to you. Time does not owe you anything. It's up to you to understand the value of your time. It's up to you to understand the value of this very moment.
You must wake up every morning and pull and dig every day for that one day to show up. And don't you stop pulling. Don't you stop digging until it shows up. I believe if you pull on your dream every day, they will eventually manifest. You gotta pull on your dream. It's like a game of tug of war. You gotta dig in, you gotta grab that rope, and you gotta pull.
There is no way around actually doing the work.
If there's something you want to do, if there's something you want to be, today has gotta be your day one.
Today is here. Today you're breathing. Today is your opportunity to pursue your vision with everything you've got.
Whatever you are pursuing, you need to become it. You need to walk like it. You need to talk like it. You need to perform and produce like it.
You've got to get in action now. You've got to make a move now. You don't need everything that you think you need to get started.
This is your life. This is your dream. This is your future. How long are we going to talk about one day?
This is the day your life really begins. This is day one. Day one of the rest of your life.
See, your mama can't do it for you. Your daddy can't do it for you. Your girlfriend, your wife, your husband, they can't do it for you. This is all on you.
So are you wishing or hoping that you will succeed? Or are you demanding that you succeed? It's time for you to be bold. It's time for you to truly understand the value of what you bring to the world.
I don't want you just to chase your dreams. I want you to catch them. But you gotta start chasing right now. In other words, you gotta pursue success. Pursue success. You gotta pursue.
Discipline sounds hard, but it's only hard when you don't want the reward bad enough. When you want something bad enough, you will wake up early. When you want something bad enough, you will pass on hanging out with your friends. When you want something bad enough, you will not back down.
See, you pull on your hopes with your daily efforts. Pull on your dreams with your daily efforts.
Yes.
But who do you need to become for this manifestation to be real, for this manifestation to be legit?
You don't have to prove anything to anyone but yourself.
So my final question for you, is it one day or day one? Is it one day or is it day one? Is it one day or it's today? Day one.
All right, y'all. And we ready to go. Is it day one or is it one day? Let me shoot the shot. All right. So, how to find ourselves? Pretty sure that's what we doing. That's what I said the topic was. Oh, headed to ourselves. Orientation to self. There we go. Let's see what they got. Hey, he got 40 seconds.
I switched from due
That's
dates
all we
to due
need.
dates, and it made me go from weeks behind to weeks ahead of my deadlines. You see, I used to just bedrot all day getting nothing done.
Self-orientation is the denominator within business professor David Mace's trust model. For me, to decrease self-orientation means demonstrating humility and empathy. There are times we need self-orientation to progress towards goals in our careers and life. However, as a leader, we also need to balance that with the needs and wants of our team. Another way to consider this, what does the team need to succeed in achieving our common goals? Taking this lens will build and create more trust rather than overlooking what the team needs and just focusing on the goal without consideration of others. So let me know, how do you balance your self-orientation?
So that's the words we're looking for right now. Self-orientation. And the reason I chose orientation is because
There's two ways.
You got to be directed towards something. And if you don't know what you directed towards, then you're directed towards nothing. Or something that you don't know. When you could be directed towards something that of your actual choosing. Let's see what else everybody got to say. And when you headed anywhere.
Hi, this is Charlie Green, co-author of The Trusted Advisor, here to talk a little bit more about the trust equation. The trust equation, really the trustworthiness equation, is credibility plus reliability plus intimacy, all divided by self-orientation. I'm going to focus here on the denominator in that equation, self-orientation, and how you can improve your score in this component. Because it is in the denominator of the equation, high self-orientation significantly drives trustworthiness down, and improving our self-orientation, that is, lowering it, is perhaps the most difficult of all the trust equation components. What's at stake here is people's perception that you care or don't care. We make judgments about a person caring primarily based on whether the person is paying attention to us. If we feel someone is not paying attention to us, we conclude that they don't care. And guess what? We're usually right about that. Thinking about self-orientation reminds us that, above all, trust is a relationship, in the same sense that friendship, for example, is a relationship. You cannot have a relationship by yourself. It must involve someone else. You can't trust without a partner. However, it's very easy to lose sight of that fact when it comes to trust. When we are in real-time contact with another person, conversations, interviews, meetings, we are constantly going back and forth in our minds between our inner thoughts and directly connecting with the person in front of us. On the one hand, when we are in real-time contact with another person, conversations, interviews, meetings, we are constantly going back and forth in our minds between our inner thoughts and directly connecting with the person in front of us. On the one hand, we have to be extremely open to the other contact with another person, conversations, interviews, meetings. We are constantly going back and forth in our minds between our inner thoughts and directly connecting with the person in front of us. On the one hand, we have to be extremely open to the other person, to fully understand them and where they are coming from. On the other hand, we have to maintain our own sense of self, if only to continue the conversation in a way we believe helpful. It's a balancing act. You can't melt entirely into the other person's worldview and psyche. At the same time, you can't mechanically interact with the other person as if they were a machine. So, how do you stay authentically you, while at the same time open to making connections? If that all sounds theoretical and fluffy, let's make it very practical. It amounts to how you pay full attention to another person. Here are 6 practical things you can do to lower your self-orientation. 1. Always be curious. Get in the habit of asking questions, particularly open-ended questions. Write some down in advance for starters. 2. Lead with calm. Take a minute before a meeting to relax, breathe deeply, and clear your mind. Don't walk into the meeting focused on remembering detailed agenda items. 3. Share your agenda. Do so in advance of the meeting where possible, and do it again at the very start of your meeting, and ask whether the agenda and intended outcomes are still appropriate. 4. Practice thinking out loud. Do this by simply saying, "I'm just thinking out loud here," and then do your thinking along with the other person. 5. Get in the habit of answering questions in 90 seconds or less. At the end of your answer, say something like, "Is this making sense?" The purpose of that statement is to ask for a recommitment to the conversation on the part of the other person. 6. Check time contracts within the conversation. Say something like, "I see we got 15 minutes left in our scheduled time. Is this going okay? Do we need to reshift our agenda or are we still on track?" Again, the purpose is to re-engage the commitment to the conversation. The best way to lower your self-orientation is to make people think you care about them. And the best way to do that is by actually caring about them. And that starts with paying undivided attention to them.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right. So now that we know what self-orientation is, you should have a healthy understanding of what it looks like when you're paying attention to you. And
this one mistake is stopping you from losing weight.
If you want to drop this,
what I mean is,
start eating more of these. You might think this would take years.
So what I mean is, and let me put the music down some. All right. So what I mean is, if you're headed to self and you take a break and you interact with somebody else, you have a chance to really interact outside of yourself. So take advantage of it. But when it's time to go back into you, then you know the difference. Self-orientation. All right. So ways. Let me get one more good video. I guess I'm gonna type it like that. Ways to show self-care. Let's see what's up.
Hey Psych2Goers, welcome back to a brand new video. Do you find it hard to follow some of the self-care routines advertised out there? Whether it's because you don't know what you need to do or because you're just too busy all the time. Like many others, you keep putting off your self-care plans for later. But taking some time for yourself is incredibly beneficial for your mental health and general well-being, and it can be surprisingly easy to do. Although self-care varies from person to person, certain aspects, such as reducing stress, eating better, and getting enough sleep, serve as the foundation for self-care. So, if you don't know where to start, here are 6 simple self-care tips to help you become a better you. Number 1, make a sleep routine. Do you have a consistent time to go to bed? Practicing self-care is easier when you create a routine because it mentally prepares you to disconnect. And it's especially helpful when it comes to going to bed. If you find that you have trouble falling asleep, try to create a plan that prepares you for bedtime. Drinking water before bed or reading a book to wind down are some things you could try. Some even say that dimming the lights before sleeping works well, as it signals your brain to start producing melatonin, the sleep hormone. This tip works great, especially if you spend hours in front of the computer. Number 2, eat mindfully. Are you mindful of what you eat? While working out is also mentioned in self-care articles, what you put into your body is also equally important. Apart from how it affects your physical well-being, it also can play a role in your mental health. Consider the 100 million nerve cells that line your gastrointestinal tract that are in constant communication with your brain. According to an article published in 2017, inflammation of your bowels may be one of the causes of issues like stress, anxiety, and depression. Ultimately, you might want to consider making it your goal to eat better to feel better, rather than only to look better.
Yes, ma'am.
Number 3, create and enforce boundaries. Do you set boundaries with other people? While some may falsely believe that boundaries exist to deliberately exclude certain types of people from our life, it doesn't.
Okay.
Although it can end up doing that, boundaries primarily exist as a reminder that you need to take care of yourself first. They serve as guidelines for other people on how they should approach and treat you. It can also save you from a lot of emotional or mental distress and help you foster better relationships with other people. Number 4, disconnect. Are you always plugged into your computer or your phone? This may be difficult to do, especially with how much work and personal life requires you to be online all the time. But taking time to disconnect is important for your mental well-being. Whether it's because you're scrolling through your phone to look at the news, social media, or because of work, looking at your screen for long periods of time without breaks is an unhealthy habit. This is why it's crucial for you to spend some time offline as well. Perhaps you can go for a walk, do some yoga, or get involved in a hobby. Whatever it is, being disconnected from your screen from time to time can help you clear your mind, relieve stress, and help ground you. Number 5, organize, inside and out. What does your room look like? The environment around you can have an effect on your mental health. Researchers have shown that a disorganized home can actually contribute to depression, anxiety, and weight gain. So if you find yourself surrounded by a lot of clutter and mess, it may be time to start organizing the things around you. Whether it's following the ways of Marie Kondo by looking at what sparks joy, or just sorting through your things one by one, you can start to take the steps to create a more tidy and clean environment for yourself and your mental well-being. And number 6, do something you love. Are there hobbies that you love doing? When most people think about self-care, it's probably something that involves dancing around to your favorite music with a face mask on. While you might think it's cheesy, the point is that you're doing something fun. Ultimately, self-care is about you, so do something that makes you happy. Whether it's reading a book or going for a run. As long as you're not harming yourself or other people, doing something you love and making yourself happy is essential in caring for yourself. Which tip did you find most helpful? Let us know in
All
the
of them.
comments below. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like, subscribe.
Let me get y'all. Come on.
Are you a visual thinker? Here's why you should try Remarkable Paper Pro.
And number 8, practice self-care. Do you tend to ignore your needs sometimes? Taking care of your basic needs is an act of love. Even taking a few minutes out of your day to check in and provide yourself with what you need can help you feel a lot better. Whether it's soaking in a hot bath, eating something healthy, or even working out, practicing self-care can go a long way for your mental health and your happiness. Have you practiced any of these types of self-love? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with those who may benefit from it. And don't forget to hit the notification bell
Why is that
icon
the
to
end
get notified
already?
whenever Psych2Go posts a new video. The references and studies used in this video are added in the description below. Thanks for watching.
Hold on. Are those the same tips? Hold on, y'all. Sorry. All right.
If you struggle with having a healthy view of yourself, then this video is for you. While some of us might think that self-love is a narcissistic and self-centered pursuit, that couldn't be further from the truth. Researchers Eric Fields and Gina R. Cooperberg from the Department of Psychology at Tufts University explain that positively biased self-views are argued to be a key component of healthy psychological functioning, influencing self-esteem, motivation, and determination. Indeed, a lack of self-positive bias or even a self-negativity bias may contribute to mood and anxiety disorder. So, if self-love seems frivolous to you, here are a few practical ways to learn to love yourself. Here are a few tips to help you on your way. Know yourself. Do you ever wonder how some people seem to just be so comfortable with themselves and know themselves inside out? Does your brain struggle with answering when you hear the dreaded, "So tell me about yourself"? A lot of us have been there, and a fun solution actually exists for those moments. Take a piece of paper or your notes app and put your name on top. Divide the page into 4 parts. Label these quadrants as likes, dislikes, weaknesses, and strengths. Now start filling in the spaces under those quadrants. You don't have to do them in order, just go with the flow. It definitely helps to be alone and allocate time for this exercise, however long you feel comfortable. Also, save these pages because there will be many. The purpose of this activity is to essentially get to know all of you, flaws and all, and to accept and embrace everything. Think of it as dating yourself. You hang out with yourself, giving you all of your attention and really engaging with who you are. You will, over time and with consistent practice, truly get to know who you are and what you're capable of. An article by certified applied positive psychology coach Kelly Miller said that some of the benefits of knowing yourself are improved self-control and self-regulation, increased creative achievement, and high self-esteem and pride. So you stand to gain so much from knowing who you are. Negative self-talk. Compassion researcher Dr. Kristen Neff asks, what type of language do you use with yourself when you notice a flaw or a mistake made? Do Do you insult yourself, or do you take a more kind and understanding tone? If you are highly self-critical, how does that make you feel inside? Paying attention to how you internally talk to yourself is the most important step in learning how to cultivate self-love. Do you find that your inner critic is more ruthless than others? Does that inner voice sound like a recording, repeating hurtful and discouraging things, constantly feeding you fear? Do you tend to beat yourself up with cruel self-talk? Do you not allow yourself to do anything until it's perfect or close enough for you and still judge yourself for not being good enough? This behavior is harmful to you as it affects your sense of self-worth and self-esteem. As humans, we struggle with some form of doubt every now and then. However, as we enter into a new chapter of being loving to ourselves, the negative self-talk has to go. Rituals. Do you start your day on the wrong foot? Or maybe you feel disconnected from yourself. Creating a ritual, be it daily or weekly, can help ease these feelings. Rituals are meaningful practices with a deep sense of purpose. As opposed to a habit, rituals require you to be a bit more mindful and focused. Take time out of your busy day for self-care rituals. Whether it's physical activity, meditating, journaling, or praying. Clinical psychologist Dr. Deborah Koshaba says the benefits of creating these personal rituals are: you'll love yourself more when you take better care of your basic needs. People high in self-love nourish themselves daily through healthy activities like good nutrition, exercise, proper sleep, intimacy, and healthy social interactions. Compassionate. By not giving yourself any grace for being flawed or human, you stunt your own growth and withhold love from yourself. Self-compassion is similar to showing compassion to other people. It's a practice of noticing that you are suffering and then offering yourself understanding and kindness. Kristen Neff, PhD, stated in her book, Self-Compassion, The Proven Power of Being Kind to Yourself, that you may try to change in ways that allow you to be more healthy and happy. But this is done because you care about yourself, not because you're worthless or unacceptable as you are. A suggestion here is to practice embracing whatever emotion you feel, instead of repressing it or letting it completely overwhelm you.
I hate that.
You acknowledge it as it is, and also...
I hate that that's a normal thing. Like, I don't gotta be nice to myself. I can treat myself how I want to treat myself. Get that shit out of here.
How you can be later. Say you're feeling sad. You acknowledge that emotion is normal. That's currently how you're feeling, and you can settle into it, and it can eventually pass. Love language. Author Gary Chapman's book, The 5 Love Languages, is about the ways that people show and receive love. They are words of affirmation, gifts, acts of service, physical touch, and quality time. These love languages can also be applied to the self in many different ways, depending on the love language that you resonate with. Gifts is that people show and receive love. They are words of affirmation, gifts, acts of service, physical touch, and quality time. These love languages can also be applied to the self in many different ways, depending on the love language that you resonate with. Licensed clinical counselor Joyce Martyr expressed a sentiment on how to use this system for your own personal well-being. Imagine how you treat yourself on a daily basis, as if you were another person in a relationship with you. By discovering your self-love language, you can incorporate daily self-love practices that are specially catered to you and make you feel better. If you have receiving gifts as your love language, you can, for example, buy the things you want that bring positivity into your life, or investing in your interests or bucket list experiences. The purpose of this is to learn to become comfortable in your own presence. And self-reflection. We can be extremely hard on ourselves, especially if it's in the aftermath of a setback. Sometimes things don't go according to plans. We punish ourselves for mistakes when instead we could learn from them. Instead of self-blame, you can use these incidents as an opportunity for personal growth. Some examples of self-reflection can take the form of a weekly review, a journaling session, a regular meeting with a trusted friend to reflect on your recent experiences and challenges, or in therapy. Remember, there are no failures if you have grown from your mistakes. There are only lessons learned. The journey to true self-compassion and love is a long one, but you shouldn't let that discourage you. Instead, think of all the versions of yourself you'll get to meet and the experiences you'll have as you devote yourself to you. As you can see, just a few changes can nurture more self-love. If you choose just 1 or 2 of these self-love actions to work on, you'll begin to accept and love yourself more.
Let me see.
If you've gotten this far, we'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this to the end. We hope that you've enjoyed it and that you
Let me
feel a
see.
bit more calm.
I want to see another one. Let's get a TED Talk. I'll take the blame on this TED Talk.
Can we, as adults, grow new nerve cells? There is still some confusion about that question, as this is a fairly new field of research. For example, I was talking to one of my colleagues, Robert, who is an oncologist, and he was telling me, Sandrine, this is puzzling. Some of my patients that have been told they are cured of their cancer still develop symptoms of depression. And I responded to him, well, from my point of view, that makes sense. The drug you give to your patients that stops the cancer cells multiplying also stop the newborn neurons being generated in their brain. And then Robert looked at me like I was crazy and said, but Sandrine, these are adult patients. Adults do not grow new nerve cells. And much to his surprise, I said, well, actually, we do. And this is a phenomenon that we call neurogenesis. So now, Robert is not a neuroscientist. And when he went to medical school, he was not taught what we know now, that the adult brain can generate new nerve cells. So Robert, being a good doctor he is, wanted to come to my lab to understand a little bit better the topic. And I took him for a tour of one of the most exciting parts of the brain when it comes to neurogenesis. And this is the hippocampus. So this is this gray structure in the center of the brain. And what we know since already very long is that this is important for learning and memory, and mood and emotion. However, what we have learned more recently is that this is one of the unique structures of the adult brain where new neurons can be generated. And if we slice through the hippocampus and zoom in, what you actually see here in blue is a newborn neuron in an adult mouse brain. So when it comes to human brain, my colleague Jonas Friesen from the Karolinska Institute has estimated that we produce 700 new neurons per day in the hippocampus. So you might think this is not much according to the billions of neurons we have, but by the time we will turn 50, we will have all exchanged the neuron we were born with in that structure with adult-born neurons. So why are these new neurons important, and what are their functions? So first, we know that they're important for learning and memory. And in the lab, we have shown that if we block the ability of the adult brain to produce new neurons in the hippocampus, then we block certain memory abilities. And this is especially new and true for spatial. And in the lab, we have shown that if we block the ability of the adult brain to produce new neurons in the hippocampus, then we block certain memory abilities. And this is especially new and true for spatial recognition. So like how you navigate your way in the city. So we're still learning a lot, and they are not only important for memory capacity, but also for the quality of the memory. And they will have been helpful to add time about memory. And they will help differentiate very similar memory. Like, how do you find your bike that you park at the station every day in the same area, but in a slightly different position? And more interesting to my colleague Robert is the research we have been doing on neurogenesis and depression. So in animal model of depression, we have seen that they have a lower level of neurogenesis. And if we give antidepressants, then we increase the production of these newborn neurons, and we decrease the symptom of depression, establishing a clear link between neurogenesis and depression. But moreover, if you just block neurogenesis, then you block the efficacy of the antidepressant. So by then, Robert had understood that very likely his patients were suffering of depression even after being cured of their cancer, because the cancer drug had stopped the newborn neuron to be generated. And it will take time to generate new neurons that reach a normal functions. So collectively, now we think we have enough evidence to say that neurogenesis is a target of choice if we want to improve memory formation or mood, or even prevent their decline associated with aging or associated with stress. So the next question is, can we control neurogenesis?
Can you?
The answer is yes. And we are going to do now a little quiz.
Let's see.
So I'm going to give you a set of behavior and activity, and you tell me if you think they will increase neurogenesis or if they will decrease neurogenesis. Are we ready? Okay, let's go. So what about learning? Increasing? Yes.
Yes.
So learning will increase the production of these new neurons. How about stress?
Decrease.
Yes. Stress will decrease the production of new neurons in the hippocampus. How about sleep deprivations? Indeed, it will decrease neurogenesis. How about sex?
Increase.
Oh, wow. Yes, you're right. It will increase the production of new neurons. However, it's all about balance here. We don't want to fall in a situation about too much sex leading to sleep deprivation.
Right. Right.
So how about getting older? So neurogenesis rate will decrease as we get older, but this is still occurring. And then finally, how about running?
Oh, come on, commercial. And it's a long commercial. They must know I'm trying to learn something. Come on.
So I will let you judge that one by yourself. So this is one of the first studies that was carried out by one of my mentors, Rusty Gage from the Salk Institute, showing that the environment can have an impact on the production of new neurons. And here you see a section of the hippocampus of a mouse that had no running wheel in its cage. And the little black dot you see are actually newborn neurons to be. And now you see a section of the hippocampus of a mouse that had a running wheel in its cage. So you see the massive increase of the black dots representing the new neurons to be. So activity impact on neurogenesis, but that's not all. What you eat will have an effect on the production of new neurons in the hippocampus. So here we have a sample of diet, a nutrient that have been shown to have efficacy. And I'm just going to point a few out to you. So calorie restriction of 20 to 30% will increase neurogenesis. Intermittent fasting, so spacing the time between your meal, will increase neurogenesis.
Hold on.
Calorie restriction efficacy. And I'm just going to production of new neuron in the hippocampus. So here we have a sample of diet, a nutrient that have been shown to have efficacy. And I'm just going to point a few out to you. So calorie restriction of 20 to 30% will increase neurogenesis. Intermittent fasting, so spacing the time between your meal, will increase neurogenesis. Intake of flavonoid, which is contained in dark chocolate or blueberry, will increase neurogenesis. Omega-3 fatty acid present in fatty fish like salmon will increase the production of these new neurons. Conversely, a diet rich in high saturated fat will have a negative impact on neurogenesis. Ethanol, intake of alcohol, will decrease neurogenesis. However, not everything is lost. Resveratrol, which is contained in red wine, has been shown to promote the survival of these new neurons. So next time you're at a dinner party, you might want to reach for this possibly neurogenesis neutral drink. And then finally, let me point out the last one, a quirky one. So Japanese groups are fascinated about food textures, and they have shown that actually soft diet impairs neurogenesis, as opposed to food that require mastication, chewing, or crunchy food. So all of this data where we need to look at the cellular level, have been generating using animal model. But these diets have also been given to human participants. And what we could see is that the diet modulates memory and mood in the same direction as it modulates neurogenesis, such as calorie restriction will improve memory capacity, whereas high-fat diet will exacerbate symptoms of depression, as opposed to omega-3 fatty acid, which increase neurogenesis and also help to decrease the symptom of depression. So we think that the effect of diet on mental health, on memory and mood, is actually mediated by the production of the new neuron in the hippocampus. And it's not only what you eat, but it's also the texture of the food, when you eat it and how much of it you eat.
Wow.
On our side, neuroscientists interested in neurogenesis, we need to understand better the function of these new neurons and how we can control their survival and their production. We also need to find a way how to protect the neurogenesis of Robert's patients. And on your side, I leave you in charge with your neurogenesis. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I want to look into this neurogenesis.
Fantastic research, Sandrine. Now, I told you you changed my life. I now eat a lot.
Let's see what Maria got to say. Well, as a matter of fact,
Most of your
we
brain
ain't even
cells
got
are
long enough.
created before.
We ain't even got long enough to see what Maria gonna say. I'm gonna talk to you for a couple seconds, then we're gonna get on up out of here for the day. I give y'all some more motivation though. All right, cool. So this idea of neurogenesis and actually being able to grow into your environment as opposed to deteriorating or rotting away. Like, is life a roller coaster ride in the sense of you go up, you go down, you go around, you go, and then you pull back into the station, excuse me? Or is life a ride in the sense of you grow and 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 then, you know, you grow and you grow. So with that being said, that's a good place to be headed towards growth in all instances and occasions. This has been another episode of Expansion Pack. I'm your host, Dan F. Man, here on DGTA TV. I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here for y'all and give y'all some motivation as we get up out the door though. And I'm gonna holler at y'all tomorrow. Peace.
Present and in the moment. As the study states, experiences of awe bring people into the present moment, and being in the present moment underlies awe's capacity to adjust time perception, influence decisions, and make life feel more satisfying than it would otherwise. Sounds good to me. Number 2, drink a healthy amount of coffee. Who doesn't love a good old cup of joe? I know I do. Many studies have found a link between how much coffee you drink and a lowered risk of depression and suicide.
Really?
In a large 2011 longitudinal study, researchers found that depression risk decreases with increasing caffeinated coffee consumption. They mentioned further research is needed to confirm their findings, but a good cup of coffee every now and then won't hurt your mood and alertness. Just make sure not to go overboard.
I'm gonna take a
Too
shot
much
of coffee.
Can be dangerous, folks, but just the right amount? Delicious. Gotta love those mochas. Number 3, don't focus on materialistic goods. In her book, Myth of Happiness, author Sonia Lubomirsky explains that a mountain of research has shown that materialism depletes happiness, threatens satisfaction with our relationships, harms the environment, renders us less friendly, likable, and empathetic, and makes us less likely to help others and contribute to our communities. While a new pair of shoes here and there won't hurt you too much, if obtaining these types of possessions are all that's on your mind, it could cost you a bit of overall happiness. It's best not to put the weight of our happiness only on obtaining these luxury goods. Make it a habit to instead look towards your values, socialization, self-fulfilling goals, and experiences as another way to get that euphoric feeling. Basically, do what makes you happy. The things without that expensive price tag attached to it. Number 4, make it a habit to be around happy people. A 2008 study from the researchers and professors can spread from each individual and whether niches of happiness form within social networks. According to the study, people who are surrounded by many happy people and those who are central in the network are more likely to become happy in the future. Longitudinal statistical models suggest that clusters of happiness result from the spread of happiness and not just a tendency for people to associate with similar individuals. A friend who lives within a mile, which is about 1.6 kilometers, and who becomes happy, increases the probability that a person is happy by 25%. Although these effects weren't seen in coworkers, the authors also mentioned that similar results were seen with happy spouses and neighbors who are within the mile.
I ain't got
Time to thank your friend and neighbor for lending you that cup of flour, and thank them for a bit of happiness. Number 5, join clubs and participate in cultural activities. Thinking of joining a club or snagging those tickets to your favorite concert? One research study found that those participating in more cultural activities in clubs reported decreased levels of anxiety, depression, and an increase in one's general satisfaction with life. The 2011 study examined data on cultural activities, perceived health, and overall satisfaction with life on over 50,000 adult participants from Norway. According to their research, the
I got
results
you, bro.
support hypotheses on the effect
I was just
of
finishing
cultural
up what I was
activities
doing
in
here
health
anyway.
promotion and healthcare. Time to join the art club. Number 6, keep a journal of your feelings. It has long been believed that journaling can have a positive effect on one's mental health. Writing down your feelings each day is a great habit to adopt. According to University of Wisconsin-Madison, health psychologist Shilag Mergain, PhD, therapeutic journaling